Oh, he would deserve it. Any list he's on, he would deserve. Any list, other than handsome. That's my list. I'm on that one, not Sharon.
There's these mock draft things out there. He's not on there.
You know, his time will come. You know, I try. You know, again, like I kid around about guys being how many stars a recruit has. You know, and you would know better, but you know, I don't know if there was. I don't know if anybody was throwing a party when Jaron Cumberland committed. I believe it was a late June or early July day. I know I was, but I don't know if any of our fans were.
They were.
But you know, he's a results guy, and he's going to play professional basketball. He just, you know, it's a metrics game. The NBA draft's a whole different animal. You know, well, because when he gets his opportunity, he will put numbers up. The issue for him, you know, is for me with him is got to continue to get him to where he's a combo guard. You know, how I can help Jaron with that is. You know, I take to the time I met with him and his father, and I didn't talk to him about how I was going to build a team around him. I talked to him about what I needed to do to make him a better player. And a lot of it is getting him quicker, getting him in better shape, getting him slimmer. You know, for the pro game is not the college game. I was talking to a friend of mine about this yesterday. You know, it's just, I wouldn't even know how to coach the pro game. It's a completely different game. It really is, in every possible way, just like the college game is completely different. So that's all projections on who will translate, and they're guessing too. They make mistakes all the time. I know that for him in his future, he's got to be able to play some point guard because of his size for the professional level. You know, for the college level, he's an elite player. For the professional level, there's things that he'll have to make adjustments on, much like Danny Fortson did, where height at his position was an issue, quickness and speed. But Danny found a way.
Do you think he'll be back here next year?
Well, that's the least of my worries. I don't, you know, like my thing is that with all our players is, you got, you know, your job, the joy of it is how you can help them become what they want to become. You know, obviously in recruiting, you try to prepare for every scenario. And you hope that whatever decisions somebody would make, like a Jacob Evans, that it works out for him in the long run. That's all you can do is hope and pray.
Did you think he would go, like at this point last year?
Yeah, Jacob, very different scenario, because I believe he was on like every draft board in the late first round. I'm pretty sure about that.
You coach 18 and 19-year-olds, yet you look at these mock drafts, and half of them are 18 and 19 years old. I mean, but I guess that's the trend.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the trend for a while.
Patrick was a pretty good player. Made it.
Yeah, it's going to change though. I think in 21, they're going to come right out of high school. I think from what I've heard about that, I think it's going to go back to the day where they'll be able to go right out of high school. It's tough though. It's tough for those guys up there. You know, it's why you see like a guy like Victor Oladipo got injured this year, but he's an elite player. But it took him 5 years because he left Indiana as a sophomore, I think. He went to Orlando, then he was in Oklahoma City. You know, in that game, it's you know, everybody's. You got to throw out the outlier guys. You got to go with you got to throw out the guys. You know, LeBron James and Kevin Durant, and those guys. The regular guy, they're taking these guys like, you know, some of the guys from Kentucky, a kid who plays for the Knicks, Knox. You know, who he is now is a kid playing against adults. So you can't, who's he going to be when he's 25? If he's 25, he might be an all-star. You know, so that's the problem if I don't have those issues. So. It's just it's a whole world of projection when you're taking 18, 19-year-old kids to play against grown-ups. They're going to eat them alive, unless their name's LeBron. I mean, they're going to eat those guys alive until they're 23 and you know they start to hit their stride.
What do you see from Wichita State now versus the last time you played?
A lot more confidence, I think. You know, they had a tough schedule. Obviously, you know, Coach in some of their December games, you know, he didn't know he was going to have some of the transfers, and you know, he lost Shamet to the NBA. So they had I think their confidence was a little bit shaken on the offensive end. They look like a much more cohesive, confident offensive team. I think they've tried really hard on the defensive end. I'm sure their coach feels, because they got so many new pieces, that you know, it's just like we all do. We wish we could get them to play smarter and more together on defense. But it stands out to me on film is they're cohesive. They kind of know who. They went for a while, like, who's going to play point guard. They were rotating, you know. So they finally settled on a rotation, and they look much more cohesive and much more confident. Well, they won 4 in a row.
It's the first time you guys are coming off a loss in about a month. As a coach,
Not many. Yeah. They haven't coming off a lot.
Yeah. For you, what kind of benefits as a coach do you get coming off a loss? Practice.
No, I don't know if there's any. You know, probably the layoff eliminates that. You know, but you would hope that your players are that the loss has got, you know, is in their mind, like, we're not losing 2 in a row. I mean, other than that, learning experience. But I'd rather win and learn. Much rather win and learn. But you hope, you know, I guess you always hope as a coach that, you know, your players are like, hey, you're veteran guys, and we don't lose 2 in a row, especially around here. I mean, that's kind of been a thing for us. But with the layoff, you know, I don't know how much, you know, that'll be a factor.
You try and look at the end of the Houston game and pull stuff from it, or is it one of those where you throw the tape
I
away?
never throw the tape away. I love when coaches say that one. I don't understand that one. I just think everything's you got to try to learn from. If you score for 5 straight minutes, if you score every time you get the ball, you need to learn why and what happened, and what you can accentuate, what you need to improve on. So, yeah, no, never throw the tape away. You got to always try to evaluate what you could do better as far as coaching a player, so he'll play better, be more productive, whether it's his free throw shooting or his defense. So you never throw the tape away. Always trying to find a way. Obviously, we didn't score down the stretch. So sorry.
Performance-wise, are you happy with where your team is at? Because I know that they were heavily doubted going into the season.
Yeah, and probably, you know, some of that rightfully so. I would say, though, a little bit it's a lack of respect for who we have been over a long period of time now. But you know, I think, you know, if you look at our record, some of the way guys I would judge us by you know, I'm a big believer in you are what your record says you are. So we're 20-4. So that and the development of some of our players, I think that's a big part of who we try to be. Because I don't think you can have a good record if your players don't develop. You can talk all you want as a coach, so you got to be the guy that helps them get to where they want. So, you know, like who Justin has become this year, you know, who Keith has become, Trey, Nasir, guys contributing way more than they contributed a year before. So I think that was the key to get us where we're at now, but it's going to be the key down the stretch because our schedule is not easy down the stretch.
You mentioned the free throw shooting. I know it's something you guys focus and work on. So when you have these roles, is there something different you try to do, or?
Yeah, you know, a big one is Darren and I talk about this. You know, you got to get. I think again, lack of experience of being at the free throw line for Nasir Brooks, shooting meaningful 1-on-1s with the game on the line. You know, he knows it too. Last 10 minutes of a big game. And I'm doing everything I can to get him to just focus on his routine, not the fact that it's a big game, that we really need him to make them. You got to focus on the routine, and you got to know that if I get this ball, if I make sure I bend my knees and I get it over the front of the rim, it's going to roll in. Like that's all you got. Like you can't. But it's easier for me. I've been coaching these games for a long time. It's his first time playing in them. and it's clear that he's nervous, very clear that he's nervous. So you got to do everything you can to try to get a guy, you know, mentally to where he realizes his body language is saying, I know, oh my gosh, I know this is a big shot. Not that he's scared, he just is cognizant of that he's got to make a putt to win the tournament instead of just focusing on his routine. And I think the only thing that can help a guy with that is experience. You know, that over time, he'll get calmer in those situations. You know, so some of it is technique, but you know, at this point, I don't think much of it is technique as much as it's mental, it's confidence.
Given the fact that Wichita State's a little better, maybe a lot better than they were, how much stock do you put in what happened in that first game?
You know, always regardless of score, I think, you know, you got to evaluate strategy. You know, there's a game within the game, right? Our coaching staff versus their strategies. So you're prepared for what you think they're going to do, vice versa. Now, as far as, you know, the fact that we won the first game, I've always been a big believer in the advantages to the team that lost the first time. Because the coach does not have to convince their players that we have to play really, really well to beat them, because they know it because they lost. And it's all, you know, so it's on the winning coach to say, hey, can't forget how hard we had to play to beat them. You know, it's not going to be easy to beat them. So, but that's always been the challenge of conference play. It's always been the psychology of the schedule. I think Fran Fraschilla called it one time on TV. You know, and it's hard. It's harder on the guy that won, because he's got to motivate his team.
You won that game at the free throw line. Mostly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to make them. Yeah.
Right.
You got to make them. I think we were 80% that game, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. I'm not sure.
Logan, his future is obviously at point guard, but right now with Justin and Kane, how big of a benefit is it to be able to play into like a small ball four like you do against Memphis and just use his athleticism as opposed to?
Yeah, you know, I think the days of, you know, the old pure point guard, you know, that ship has sailed. So, you know, Logue's, you know, he's a guard, he's a great athlete. Trying to get him and Rashawn and Trevor Moore certain, you know, levels of minutes is a challenge for me, and it's been all year. You know, it's where you know, how do I get him in? Okay, if I can take Keith out, if I put Logan in, we still got a great athlete in there with Jaron, but you know, Logan, you know, but because Justin's a great shooter, so we did that at Memphis. So he's just, you know, at Houston early in the game, Jaron came out because of the foul. So I needed shooting, so I put Trevor in. So a lot of it is just the strategy of that particular game. But, you know, trust me, going in every game, it's in my, you know, my mind, like, how, in this, you know, how am I going to get him some minutes? It's going to be easy to get Kane minutes. You know that's coming. But you know, some people lament only having 7 guys or 8 guys. When you're trying to play at least 10, it's not always the easiest thing to do. He should be better, but I thought he was better in practice before the Houston game. When he got out there, he couldn't move. You could see when Ellie went to move, he couldn't move. So Bob says he's much better. So thanks, guys.